on a human scale, complete with maze-like canyons, narrow spires, balancing rods, and features all its own. Bryce Canyon National Park was established to protect and preserve this unusual landscape, this rarity in nature. Water Canyon, Fairyland Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Berea View, Farview Point, Agua Canyon. The plateau gently climbs to its highest elevations at the southern end of the park, Rainbow Point and Yovimpa Point, over 9,000 feet high. It's the rock formations of Bryce Canyon that make this landscape so unique. The oldest rocks were formed in the Cretaceous period, when dinosaurs walked the earth. But at that time, this place was underwater. The lowest rocks and oldest rocks of Bryce Canyon formed in a shallow sea that divided North America into two distinct landmasses. Waters advanced and retreated several times, leaving the gray-brown rocks that form the base of Bryce Canyon. After the mass extinction of the dinosaurs, in what geologists call the Tertiary period, large freshwater lakes formed across parts of Utah. The Claron Formation includes silts and clays deposited in the lakes, forming a limestone. Rocks and sediments were brought in by streams. Iron and other minerals provide the distinct coloration. Eventually, the lakes disappeared as the Colorado Plateau continued to rise. Deep underground stresses were relieved as the earth shifted and cracked. Earthquakes created the tilted rocks of sinking ship on the eastern edge of the Bryce Amphitheater. Streams follow natural depressions and fractures and cut into softer rock, resulting in the large amphitheaters that punctuate Bryce Canyon National Park. Year by year, the tentacles of erosion reach further into the plateau of Bryce Canyon. Today, weathering and erosion continue to transform Bryce Canyon National Park. Melting snows and rain dissolve the natural cement that binds the rocks. Each year, ice, from over 200 days of below freezing temperatures, penetrates and fractures the Claron Formation. Intense rain showers from summer storms slice into the soft rocks. And from all of this come some of the canyon's most fascinating features: hoodoos, convoluted, deeply eroded ridges, and isolated standing spires and rock pillars. Almost all hoodoos are topped by an erosion-resistant layer of rock. Once this cap rock is broken, the remaining rocks succumb to erosion. Like living creatures, hoodoos have a lifespan. While some are being born out of ridges, others are dying, dissolving piece by piece. In the constant struggle between land and sky, it is the natural process of erosion to tear down the landscape. Carving slender ridges and hoodoos, the forces of erosion can open windows. Eventually, the windows grow large enough to separate one hoodoo into two standing spires. Here at Bryce Canyon, the land is in retreat from the power of storms and freezing water. Deep canyons often permeate the amphitheaters and divide the columns of hoodoos. Most of these slot canyons are carved and deepened by the flash floods of summer. Cavities in alcoves are often the result of spring seeps and occur in weaker parts of the underlying rock formations. A natural bridge is a feature carved by stream erosion. Deep within the canyon, each of the Navajo Loop Trail, twin bridges are formed from a resistant layer of rock that has been exposed by the cutting action of water. Though the stream flows only during times of flash floods, it has left two bridges behind. In spite of its name, Natural Bridge on the canyon rim is not actually a natural bridge. It wasn't formed by stream action. Instead, it is a large window occupying a weak spot in a fin of rock. Yet the life cycle of both features are similar. They continue to expand and to grow until one day they finally collapse, leaving only rubble or hoodoos behind. Bryce Canyon is shaped by its arid high-altitude climate. But there are really several climates here, coexisting. In the harsh climate at Rainbow Point, hardy bristlecone pines cling to cliffs and cling to life through the centuries. Some are 1,700 years old. Part of the plateau is covered by pine forests. Drought resistant, they survive through the seasons, relying on moisture from melting winter snows and summer storms. The life-giving thunderstorms of summer also bring violent lightning strikes and instant death to some trees along the river. These forests provide shelter for mule deer. Ground squirrels keep watch for predators. Turkeys feed in open area. High above it all, ospreys nest in tall snags. Steller's jays are clever and resourceful. Bryce Canyon is a year-round home for ravens. Among the most intelligent of all birds, ravens are adaptable and can survive Bryce Canyon's sometimes brutal winters. As the rim and plateau increase in elevation, pine forests give way to fir and spruce trees. Occasional groves of quaking aspen border on meadows. The orange and reds of Gamble Oak respond to the silent warning of winter's approach. In this land of early winters, spring arrives especially late to shaded canyons and north slopes. Elk forage in these high reaches. Mountain lions are among their very few predators. Scattered in open meadowlands are colonies of endangered Utah prairie dogs. Social animals, they warn each other of approaching danger. Prairie dogs emerge from hibernation each spring with the arrival of new grasses and wildflowers. Pronghorn favor the open sage-covered prairie bordering the forest. Below the rim, it is a very different world. Slot canyons invite exploration. Small drainages often gather enough water to support trees, otherwise would not survive. Douglas firs, hundreds of years old, find refuge in these cool, shaded microenvironments, as do occasional spruce trees. Here, winter stays well into spring, protected from the sun by cliff faces and slot canyon walls. Different microclimates are found in the relatively gentle slopes and flat open bottoms of the amphitheaters. Some pines and large trees find groundwater with deep roots. Hardy manzanita covers much of the ground. Rapidly eroding ridges and relic hoodoos tell of a time not too long ago when this was at the edge of the canyon. Bryce Canyon is both high and dry. There are only a few flowing streams. Springs and dependable sources of water are scarce. Melting snows feed streams that often disappear among the rocks and into porous stream beds. In the northern part of the park, Water Canyon is a rare source of flowing water. Nearby, Mossy Cave is a cool, sheltered respite from the heat of summer, and is a wintry icebox even into spring. Evening brings an entirely different, often overlooked environment. Owls glide on silent wings, hunting through the darkness. Far above, Bryce Canyon's clear air and isolation from city lights reveal a brilliant night sky.
Wow.
For thousands of years, people have slept under these same skies. The first were nomadic hunters and gatherers living off the land. Traces of ancestral Puebloan cultures have been found in the Bryce Canyon area. However, it is Paiute legends and names that describe the landscape. To the Paiutes, this high plateau is known as Ponsiga, the home of beings. The Paiutes told stories of how hoodoos were once people, but were turned to stone by the trickster coyote. To the Paiutes, hoodoos were known as legend people. By the mid-1800s, American fur trappers were exploring the region. In the 1870s, a new wave of settlement was sweeping across the wilds of southern Utah. Mormon pioneers were homesteading in the Berea Valley at the base of the Pink Cliffs. The canyon behind Ebenezer and Mary Bryce's home became known as Bryce's Canyon. As legend goes, when the pragmatic Ebenezer Bryce was asked about the maze of canyons behind his cabin, his matter-of-fact reply was, "It's a hell of a place to lose a cow." But travelers saw Bryce Canyon in a different light. In 1924, Congress designated Bryce Canyon as a national park. The Union Pacific Railroad saw the future of tourism, and Bryce Canyon Lodge was built. In the midst of the Great Depression, the Civilian Conservation Corps transformed Bryce Canyon, building campgrounds, trails, shelters, and signs. As years pass, millions of visitors bring back memories, postcards, and photographs of this special place, a place unlike any other in the world.
car of the ranger naturalist, motor caravans move from one vantage point to another on the road that follows the canyon's rim. Visitors leave their cars and walk to the rim to listen to the rangers talk on the canyon's origin and history. Visitors often stand for hours studying the maze of formations that rise from the beautiful bowl. Some never think of going below the canyon rim. But be reminded that there's a world of wonder down below that cannot be seen from above.
Beyond the roads, beyond the viewpoints, Bryce Canyon remains a wild place. Here, largely undisturbed by human presence, the endless cycles of life continue. Though no more than shadows in geologic time, the seasons still sweep across this far-reaching landscape and reveal the hidden art of nature, Bryce Canyon.